Welcome to the Spiel Sports Talk Show. It's your boy Sal. It's a Muslim here, live from Pittsburgh, PA. It is December 18th, 2025. We're approaching Thursday. That means we got some Thursday night football to talk about later tonight. And as always, I have my panelists here. I got Quay over there in Arizona. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. It's been a good week. Countdown to my return to Pittsburgh. But this is my final show here in Phoenix for the next couple weeks. I'll probably be over there with you, doing the show. We got time for like a Christmas special, Christmas holiday Spiel special. But
that'd be fun.
As always, looking forward to a great show tonight. Being here with the guys, being here with the audience that's tuning in now and in the future. I was looking forward to it as always. Can't wait to bring you a good show tonight.
Yeah, and over here on the East Coast, we got Randy. What's good with you, Randy?
Thank you. Happy to be here with the boys as always, chopping up sports, just giving you that real spiel. Funnest podcast in the game. I think I just like the way that we can volley topics. We cover such a good range. So happy holidays to everyone out there, feeling festive and ready to get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start off, as always, talking about those hometown Pittsburgh Steelers here. It was a very, very chilly day over there on the North Shore. The days coming up to it, Saturday, it snowed. I know over here where we're at in East Pittsburgh, it snowed 6 inches, and obviously you're out there and closer to central PA, got over a foot of snow, and the Dolphins are coming into town, and there are videos of social media, the Dolphins coming in Saturday night as the snow is coming down. Those fish look like they were frozen, though. And Monday night comes around, and going into this game, the Dolphins, I believe, haven't won a game where it's 40 or below in a long time. I think they've lost 14 straight, if I'm not mistaken. And they were really hot, had won a couple in a row, led by their rushing attack with Achane and being able to let Tua make easy plays off of that strong run game. But all of that came to a halt, and the fish were frozen. They've been, swimming upstream for the last 4 games, but they met a team led by Mike Tomlin, who has been undefeated on Monday Night Football in his career. There's a lot of Tomlin stats that a lot of the users don't care about, but pretty impressive there. Hasn't lost Monday Night Football at home. It's a guaranteed dub throughout Mike Tomlin's tenure. They were led by Aaron Rodgers, who looked like he was resurrected again from his Packers self. Despite the broken wrist, was able to make the plays that I think the organization was hoping that Aaron Rodgers would make coming into the season. He went 23 out of 27, threw a touchdown pass to MVS, who the Steelers acquired a couple weeks ago, old buddy of his. And we saw Adam Thielen, who was picked up after he was released from the Vikings, made some plays. Also made not the play at the end of the game where he almost cost the game, where he missed the catch on the onside kick. But Cameron Hayward was able to deliver. Speaking of Cameron Hayward, he led the tush push for the Steelers, who seemed to be the most aggressive Connor Hayward, excuse me. seemed to be the most aggressive that Tomlin's offense has been all season, going for it on fourth down very, very early in the game. DK Metcalf had the monster play, and we're going to watch that play here. Let's see, DK Metcalf. Oh, slow down.
Big body.
Big body, huge body.
I live. Joe Hayden probably liked that.
Well, as I put this on, Quay, what were your thoughts here on the game as the Steelers were able to beat Miami 28-15 on Monday Night Football?
Well, I expected us to win. I think I was kind of shocked by that stat because with the Dolphins and how they've lost 14 straight. Only because I could have sworn the game with the Jets a couple weeks ago was a cold game, but probably wasn't under 40 degrees, just above 40 degrees. Hence why they were able to beat the Jets. And also it is just so maybe that's just the case there too. But before this game had started, I pretty much called for us to win. I didn't expect anything less from us going into this game Monday night at home. Not even anything. Impressive record Monday night. I know it's like 20 plus wins in his tenure for Monday night at home. So great record. Just goes to show when and things like that, like we can really prep and get things going. Offense was really creative. The tight ends scored touchdowns, and they did it in a multitude of ways with having a Johnny rushing touchdown, having Connor Hayward getting us key first downs, tush push, also scoring a touchdown as well. Really big deal. 2 touchdowns, actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Kenneth Gainwell just doing what he's been doing all year, especially the second half. I think it kind of started at first with that Vikings game. Then things kind of cooled off where just weird inconsistency with schematic, with the scheme, and also just I don't know. As we talked about plenty of times on different shows, just doing these things that didn't make sense. The stat line that came out where anytime we play Cornell, Washington, 65% of the snaps or more are undefeated. Our rushing yards are over 112 yards, and then we weren't doing those certain things. So to see us kind of leaning into the things that makes us successful, it's the strong points, like a strong points of our team. I feel good about what I saw last Monday here in Pittsburgh. Do I believe it's enough to get us to a Super Bowl? I think I still need to see more. There's a lot of things that happened during losing streak, and I guess you can't really call it a streak per se, but our stretch of 7 games were 2-5, and there's a lot that frustrated me between like defensive play, team play calling, things like that. More coaching than the players. Obviously, we talked about that plenty of different times, but it really seemed like again Monday into what makes us good, our strong points, our strong suits, which again is our tight ends, two-headed monster at running back with Kenneth Gainwell, Jalen, and finding ways to get DK the ball after we softened up things with our tight ends. I do think it's helped to have, MVS and weirdly even like Thielen on the team now. Just their professionalism, their ability to get open, and the rapport that MVS has with Rodgers, I think, has been really, really good. I mean, I know I've been saying all year we needed a wide receiver too, and I've said different names from like Olave, to even trying to get someone like a Waddle, someone that could have been the second guy. Before the year started, we had Aaron Rodgers, the guy that I really Lazard. And hilariously enough, there's rumors and talks that we might be able to get, which I just think is kind of crazy. But
got released from the Jets, I think.
Yeah, so that's why it's like it's kind of crazy. We could potentially get him. I wanted us to try to always make a play for Lazard, just because Lazard has had really good games, especially in the latter part of Aaron Rodgers' career. He became kind of his guy. Him and yes, a lot of the times were his guys that he really leaned into during those latter years with Green Bay. But MVS stepped up with his touchdown. It seems like we have a little more explosion. Again, that's just due to the play calling, kind of going a little bit better for us because we're leaning into those things that we're good at, leaning into our strengths. But liked what I saw, like MVS was getting open, Aaron Rodgers was working for him on a couple of plays. So I do like that, and I think that's going to be good as the season goes on. I think we can win a playoff game. Really depends on the matchup right now. I need to see a little bit more consistency over the next couple of weeks. Like if our offense can continue to do this, I think it was 4 straight drives with a touchdown. We haven't had that type of consistency on offense in a long time. So really need to see how we finish off these next 3 weeks. With that said, kind of a bit of a lean into the preview of next week with the Lions. I don't really believe we're going to win that game. Lions are in a must-win situation just as much as we are. However, I think our path is a little bit easier because of the Ravens' remaining schedule being really challenging and them kind of faltering a little bit as well. So as long as we put out a good performance against the Lions, and mainly, I want to see the offense kind of do more of what it's done the past couple of weeks, especially on Monday. But I think I would like to see our defense at least contain that Lions offense a little bit more than I anticipate us to actually do. But if our defense can contain them a bit and really make things a little bit harder for this Lions offense, and we can keep the game close, we do have a chance. Aaron Rodgers knows how to win close, tight games. He's played the Lions team before plenty of times in his career. I know this is a different iteration, so anything can happen. I do think we can get to the playoffs, obviously, just because, again, Detroit's our hardest game, and then we have Browns and Ravens to kind of finish up the season. So I think the playoffs are there. It's just, again, is it worth it to get there? I think I said this 2 weeks ago. To get there in first round, is this truly a playoff Super Bowl caliber team? I'm still not 100% sure. However, I do like the performance I saw Monday night. So
yeah,
we'll see as the season goes on, but I'm still not super optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not the Steelers is a Super Bowl contender is yet to be seen, but a lot can be proven and put on the table there for this team. with a strong performance against the Lions. Randy, just want to get your thoughts here from the outside looking in. 2 weeks ago, the Acrisure Stadium over here in Pittsburgh, you heard the Fire Tomlin chants after the big loss against the Bills. Do you think that the city of Pittsburgh deserves or needs to apologize to Coach T after those chants, given how the team has performed over the last 2 weeks?
For me, I definitely value loyalty and like consistency. I think that's what leads to dynasties. And what really can breed that type of success. And it's not overnight. So I think we live in so much of an era, and you see it with so many of the gutter franchises that seem to have no hope year after year. Um, Honestly, the Commanders being that, aside from two Rookie of the Year seasons um, from new quarterbacks in almost 30 years. So for me, I value what Tomlin has done. I have the utmost respect for it. I think you can always expect a good product. And I think that I'm envious of that as someone who's grown up with my favorite team rarely making the playoffs or not winning the Super Bowl at all. So I value the culture that he's probably built there as well, and I think the Steelers in general just have a really great history. So I think it's befitting of them to have a coach with a long tenure. It's like that type of classic NFL franchise. And I think even the Washington tried to do that with bringing back Joe Gibbs to try to like re-inject life into the franchise. I think it is something that works. But of course, does that mean that everything has to stay the same around him? No, and the game has changed, and I think he's also struggled to adapt, especially in recent years. So, or post Ben Roethlisberger, I think is fair to say. But I think fans can be fickle, and it is unfair to someone who has that legacy in that city and has done what Coach Tomlin has done. And for me, especially as a black head coach, he's kicked down a lot of doors that previously were locked to black NFL head coaches. So I think Tomlin should have a statue one day, but shit, let them lose one more game and they'll be on his ass.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, you lose this Week 18 game against the Ravens, and I promise you, the city will burn itself inside out for that man to be fired. Um, yeah, I respect the stability too, and I think that's why I've always advocated for Tomlin staying, but just changing up the staff. Those years when he got to the Super Bowl, the staff was a lot better, and it's not like good coaches haven't come and gone. We talk about Flores, the Mike Munchaks of the world. Yeah, there are a lot of coaches there that were very high quality that could help us win a Super Bowl. But the Steeler way is the Steeler way, and people, like you said, loyalty is important, and Tomlin definitely will promote you. Seems like he's a loyal guy within the organization to a fault. But Randy, let's and pass the ball back over to you as we talk about those Commanders and how they were able to end their losing streak, 8-game losing streak, and end up sending the Giants on an 8-game losing streak themselves. Mariota, there's a quote. Mariota basically said that it's hard to go 2 months without winning a football game, and I'm sure some of you listening, maybe part of a rec league or a travel league, maybe on a team that's not that good, haven't won in months, and probably can relate to that. But Randy,
early underdog years,
the early underdog year, flag football years, couldn't buy a win, and it took time and development to finally get that feeling. And last year, it felt like the Commanders, all that development was actually coming to fruition. This year, obviously, there's been a lot of a lot of different injuries during the week. This week they were planning for Jackson Dart, who ends up throwing a costly interception during this game. But what were your thoughts there about the Commanders as they finally win a game here in December?
Yeah, I thought it was the battle for the last spot in NFC least, and both of these teams showed up. And actually, it was an entertaining game, but not necessarily for clean play, but really just being a slugfest. Um, we should have put the game away much earlier than we did, and the score line shouldn't have been as close as it was. But in the fourth quarter, Marcus Mariota and company tried their best to throw this game with several turnovers and just sloppy play overall at the end, allowing the Giants to climb back in within a score. So to me, it was just it was a funny watch as a fan who knows, the season's gone. What I liked, a highlight, Terry McLaurin looks good. Other parts of our offense look good. I think Mariota looks comfortable. I don't know why we played Jaden last week still. I think we should have just let Mariota play against the Vikings. And if anything, Jaden's return game should have been this one against the Giants. But it is what it is, and I'm looking forward to next season. I honestly kind of wish we lost this game to push for a better draft pick, but I also know draft talent can anywhere in the early first round can be there. So I think that's what we need just to incrementally improve our team. I think our defense is where I would want to spend those draft picks. If it's not on defense, then O line next. But other than that, I think those are the biggest areas of need. And if we get back a healthy Jaden, healthy receiving core, I would watch out for us next season. But now we've got to play the Eagles twice to close this out. I bet you we give them a really good game
from the 30.
This weekend.
There is a flag.
And I'm excited to see kind of what anytime there's a divisional game, like anyone can win it. So the Eagles are coming off of a nice statement win, shutting out the Raiders. So I think their confidence will be high. But this is one of those trap card games where,
You've activated my trap card.
Gotcha, nigga. They're gonna pull up to Northwest Stadium over in Landover, and it's gonna be jumping. And if Marcus Mariota and the boys get a little bit of momentum going and can get some nice drives, establish our running game, we can definitely compete with the Eagles. And yeah, throwing up some of the highlights, we got my boy Bill. Honestly, another great rookie piece. Him and Rodriguez in the running game, I love. It's just such a good one too. And I think,
Rodriguez was. He was a waiver wire wonder. A waiver wonder this year. Like after Jacory had got hurt early on, that said, I was to him versus who's the other running back? Who's your guys' other running back?
Bill Cross King Merritt.
No.
What's
There's another one.
Eckler when he got hurt.
No, not Eckler. I forget his name. Hold on, I'm about to go back and look at the news. Look at my waiver wonder. But something you had said I was also very surprised about as well, which was the fact that Jaden was brought back for McNichols. There it is.
McNichols, yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy. But I was very surprised he came back for that Vikings game. To be honest, I was actually very surprised that that they wanted him to play at all for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
I just thought it would just be best to just shut it down, let things be, just let everyone else kind of develop and go from there. The season was over. There was no need to put in a quarterback who had a really nasty left elbow injury to go back in, that soon. Especially again, the season's out of reach. Anything beyond getting higher, let's say getting lower in the draft because you want to win games, but you should lose games so you can stay within like the top 10 to get a better pick. I still think you guys will end up with a 10 pick, which that'll be good to help improve the team. Definitely defense is where we want to improve this team for sure. Also think overall improving certain parts on the line, offensive line. Don't need too much on that. I would say your offensive line is really good with blocking. You have Tunsil at left tackle, which is maybe adding in more help on the right side of the football. Just
Yeah,
solidify
we're
some
short on the
things.
depth chart there too. We only have 2 guys on right tackle.
Yeah, so just add some depth, get better in that position there. But
And we only have 1
I
center,
think,
honestly.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That your offensive line depth just isn't there. You had the starters are good for the most part, are serviceable, but then you don't have any depth if anything happens. So
Yeah, we're 1 or 2 injuries away from yep. And I think that's
yeah,
what happened to us offensively, and not only with Jaden, but when Jaden was healthy, receivers were out, and then he was kind of taking a beating.
hmm
The guys were dropping passes and drives were just fizzling out. So to me, I'm not discouraged from what I saw this year because I didn't see like a talent fade. I saw misfortune of things that were just going our way in years past. Um, Bad misplays of throwing winnable games away early season that snowballed into what became an 8-game losing streak. Um, and here we are now. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of our depth chart. We've got a few divisional games to close the year out. These are and should be people fighting for their spots on the team. And then also looking at and finding out what are our biggest areas of need. And that's just the reality of an NFL season. I wish the playoff teams good luck, and I'll be watching. But yeah, that's where we're at over here in DC.
Life of a Commander fan.
Yeah.
The Cosby Mommies.
Yeah, that's how you can tell
Come,
who was on the bandwagon last year and who
Yep.
actually, lives and dies for that team there.
Let's,
They
let's get
haven't
into
seen
this.
much
So,
success this year, but I do think the future is bright. We'll see what they do with that draft pick. Uh,
oh,
let's move on to one of the more interesting games that happened this week, and it
oh,
was the divisional matchup in the AFC East between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. The Bills are in a must-win game against a divisional rival in order to have any shot at winning the division. They were down 21 nothing and end up scoring 5 consecutive touchdowns to end up winning 35-31. It was the biggest or the largest comeback at
yeah.
Foxborough in that stadium's history. Uh, it's just a crazy game there. The Bills at the beginning of the season, not the beginning, but even in the most recent weeks, the most notable loss against the Texans looked like they were kind of like a shell of their former self. It looked like they had issues that they had to deal with, but they've started to put it together. Starting with that game a couple weeks ago, where everyone was screaming "Fire Tomlin." Maybe it's not so much about Fire Tomlin, and it's about the Buffalo Bills and how much potential they have and what their ceiling is like. Quay, what do you think here is going to happen in the AFC East? Are the Bills going to win the division? Are the Patriots going to kind of squander this huge lead that they've built over the course of the last 14, 15 weeks?
Uh, no, I think this Patriots team is going to be able to still hold the division. Um, just a couple things is with them is that they're to end the season they have a pretty easy road. There's not really much they have to worry about when it comes to the end of their season here. Um, so again, I'm not really too worried about them. We have Vrabel who has had this team just ready to go every single week here. They don't ever have to. This isn't like this isn't a Patriots team that is the Patriots team from directly after Tom Brady. Um, this is a very well coached team, very much ahead of schedule. They can beat you a multitude of ways. The running game, Drake May's arm, his leg, because he's an underrated football there. But this was one of those games I think where they just kind of let their foot off the gas, and they had the lead. This team had the lead. By no stretch of the imagination would you think that they should have lost the game, going up 20 plus, going up 3 scores early on. And Josh Allen just said, "Wait a second, I have a baby on the way. Can't let them. I can't let them know that on the week of their announcement that I lost my football game." And he just turned it up to another level. You had guys like Dawson Knox stepping up, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's the second tight end, So if you got guys like him making plays, it's definitely going to be it's going to be a tough day for any defense if he's getting second string guys and skill positions of the football to make plays. James Cook was being James Cook. I think we could probably say without saying some of the more established names, and can make certain things. We can make certain exceptions based off of the year, but off of the way they played this year. But still, outside of names like a Derrick Henry, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, the next wave, these young running backs, you think of Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think also you have to think of James Cook as well. Devon Achane, like running back position is going to be really, really good for the next few years in the NFL. But James Cook is also very much part of the reason why that offense for the Bills gets going. And usually, if he has 100+ rushing yards and a touchdown, it's hard to beat the Bills. Josh Allen just takes them to another level as well. I know we've said Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think a lot of that is, it is his skill level and what he's able to do, passing the football, throwing the football, and also his accomplishments. But I think, if there's anyone close, and I think it's ever been, closer than this year where you say, 1A, 1B, who's the best quarterback in the league. And I think, it is Patrick, Josh Allen. I don't think the gap is that far outside of their, team accolades and individual accolades when it comes to see championships, Super Bowls, and things like that, MVPs. But I don't think this, if anything, it just goes to show like what this Bills team could be. They are championship or at least playoff hardened. and they know what it takes to get there. They know what it takes to win tough games. And I think, that's all that game against the Bills showed. They had to handle business. They went in there, they started out rough and, buckled their chin straps and came back and won a very hard fought divisional matchup against a really good young New England Patriots football team that again is ahead of schedule because of Mike Vrabel. So again, I don't think Patriots lose out on this. They have the Ravens next. I know Ravens are in a must-win situation, but even if they were to lose that, they have the Jets and the Dolphins to finish off their season. So that's the biggest reason why, unless they truly just kind of fall off these next 3 games, and again, they could lose to the Ravens and more than likely still win those final 2, which they easily should. Again, would be shocked if they didn't beat the Jets and the Dolphins to end off the season. So they'll still win the division as they should. They had a really good season, but it goes to show too that this is a young team. They had the lead and they couldn't close out against a team that has been there, done that for the past few years, and they just could never beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And with them out of the way, I mean, this is Bill's time to do it. So I think that's going to be also the Patriots. Their Achilles heel going into the playoffs. They had a very easy schedule this year, which is why they were able to kind of be on top of the division here. So, again, congratulations to the Patriots and their season and all of that. But I do think while will win the division, I do still think the Bills are the better team in that division just because quarterback and everything that they've done over the past few years. So they have a tougher road to end the season, but I think their play is going to keep up. They're catching fire a little bit, and anything can happen. But it's this will be a down year for the Bills if they do not, take advantage of everything that is going their way right now, which is seemingly the Ravens won't be in either with the Chiefs, and that was always their problem. And they've been able to beat the Ravens, tough game, but the 2 most challenging opponents are not probably going to be in the dance. You have to get in, and if Josh Allen is looking for that legacy, which I don't know, there's something about that baby magic. Seems like Jelly Bean is going to win fantasy football. Who knows? Because of baby Mina from her cooking in there, and then now she's born. It's ice cake. So I feel like Josh Allen, you got to keep this momentum going, and you got to win the Super Bowl for your future baby. Got to. She can't know, or he can't know that your dad was a loser. Got to win. But
He was
yeah,
number 1.
he was number 1. So yeah, New England will go ahead and close out again on the division, but Bills are right there. They just had a couple games that one score, just didn't go their way, or lost some games where you're like, what's going on with the Bills? But I think they kind of wrote that ship. So
Yeah. I'll keep it super short and sweet. My observation that I want to point out for everyone is that Josh Allen not only got his girl pregnant, but at some point before the game, this dude just yacked and threw up as he revealed he does before every game, and then went out there and did this amazing comeback victory. So just keep that in mind. I
Josh
think
Allen learned from Willie Beeman. Shout out Any Given Sunday.
right, Josh Allen is looking like Vic because he never folds, and like I mentioned, they've lost a few close ones, but they're turning it on at the right time of the year, and this is a big statement win. So I'll be interested to see, and we'll see if they have cookies for Keon Coleman heading into the playoffs. But we'll see if all the trolling and memes have pushed him to a more competitive nature.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the standings right now, for these teams, there's really not much room into the wild card, right? So you lose 3 games in a row here, and even the Bills with this big comeback could easily slip out of the playoffs. So it's really important, especially with the Texans now surging up. I mean, the Colts, they lost this week to the Seahawks. Philip Rivers was unable to get the job done, but he got them down the field and got them the points. That's what he's paid to do. But it still wasn't enough. You know, the Colts are still in the picture too. Um, it's another random thing I want to talk about is the Chiefs being eliminated with their loss this week. So it is wide open. There's a potential that Lamar won't be in the playoffs, and even if they do make it to the playoffs, it seems like that team is not 100%. So it really is wide open, especially for Josh Allen to be the AFC representative. But there's going to be a lot of stiff competition there with the Patriots. And the Jaguars now looking like they can really score. I think ever since the trade deadline, they picked up Jacoby Myers, and he's been very productive for them. And, you know, they're putting up 40 plus points on teams. And that's a team that you don't want to play either. And then obviously the Broncos have been pretty dominant on both sides of the ball all year. So there could be some tough teams in AFC, but those usual suspects, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, these former MVP players, they won't be there. So it's all up to Josh Allen to secure it, not just for himself, but I guess for his child too. So shout outs to Josh Allen there, and congratulations on the news. So let's move on to next week's Thursday night game, which is tonight, technically, between the Rams and the Seahawks over there in Seattle. It's a battle between heavyweights in the NFC. However, the Rams are dealing with a big injury. Devontae Adams is going to be out. But there's big playoff implication, obviously, with this game. It seems like the winner will probably have a good chance of winning the division, as both of them are at 11-3. And to make things, the margin of error even smaller, I mean, the Niners are only there at 10-4. So that division is super jammed packed. And, you know, the Cardinals have been playing tough all season. They just haven't been able to string along those wins. But what do we think here of the NFC West? Is the winner of this game going to win the division, Quay?
Well, being a resident of, you know, 2 NFC West teams in the past, wow, I guess almost 12 years of my life. You know, it's always been a very competitive division. I would say being an AFC North, you know, kid, being a Steelers fan, I always thought we had like the toughest division. And then eventually the NFC North recently just started to become more competitive. But the NFC West has always been kind of a dog fight. I feel like it's always any team's race in the NFC West. You know, it could be the 49ers. It could be the Seahawks. It could be, you know, not fairly recently, but the Cardinals. You know, they've had their time over, you know, a few years ago, 10 years ago, where they were always in the mix when Larry was a part of that team. But I think this matchup round 2 is going to look just as competitive as it did with round 1. I think the Rams still have the potential to win this game and will win this game just because they played better, even with the injury to Devontae Adams. They played more consistent football than the Seahawks. All primarily on the defensive side. The past few weeks, Sam Darnold and the offense is kind of stalled. I know a lot of people are going to look at Sam Darnold and say, "Oh, it's Sam Darnold. This is why the Vikings didn't want to keep him." Those final 2 games of the season last year were a really big deal, and you've seen it the past couple of weeks where he struggled and things like that. It's not his. It's not his fault entirely. It is primarily, you can argue, is primarily more on the offensive line. They are one-dimensional team where if they're not within scoring position, yeah, they've had some rushing touchdowns, but if they're not in scoring position, they're not really getting rushing touchdowns, really getting meaningful yards to set themselves up. So I think with all of that there, even with the injury to Devontae Adams, I just think the Rams have too much on offense, whether it's Aaron Williams and Blake Corum, as a headed monster in the running game doing things, they're dangerous. Whether it's utilizing their tight ends a little, they're dangerous. Puka Nakua can take over a game by himself. He doesn't necessarily need Devontae Adams, and vice versa. When Puka went down and it was just Devontae was able to put up numbers. When Puka had Cooper Kupp and Cooper Kupp was getting injured a lot of the time, Puka was still able to put up numbers. That's what true number one receivers are able to do. So, and Matthew Stafford is playing MVP football. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't win the MVP. So, with all that being said, I just think the Rams, and one more thing, and their defense also playing very good. This is a very young, opportunistic defense that doesn't get enough credit, if you ask me. And our offense gets all the credit, and it gets talked about. The defense does not get talked about enough. So I just want to give them a little credit on our show, just so they know that that's why we're the best sports talk show, because we notice those little things like that. But with all that said, yeah, I just think this is the Rams game to win. The Rams game to win. The Seahawks, good team, great defense. I even like how they are built on offense. Shaheed is getting more acclimated into the offense, which I think will just add another dimension to their team. But until they really figure out things with the running attack to kind of help take some pressure off of Sam Darnold, I just think it's going to be tougher for them as the season goes on, and it's going to be tough for them to beat a Rams team that wants to make you one-dimensional. And if they're able to do that, they have you right where they want you. So, yeah, I think this is the Rams game to win here.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to say Stafford is an MVP quarterback because he leads the league in passing touchdowns by a wide margin. I mean, he has 37, and the closest one is Jared Goff with 29, and Prescott and Josh Allen behind them too. So he's throwing to the league leader in reception touchdowns that or was going to. So Randy, I mean, are they going to still be able to find success without their top catching wide receiver? Are they going to be able to kind of fill the gap there with Puka and all their other players?
Yeah, I think Puka is definitely ready for, the to fill the void, but it's definitely going to take an adjustment of next man up mentality. But I think also with an experienced quarterback like Matthew Stafford, he's going to really probably just spread the ball around even more, and also utilize the safety net of a tight end. I think is how I could see them continuing with their offense and not losing a beat. I think that the Seahawks though are super interesting, and considering that they will have home field advantage, it should be a really good battle there. Um, I'm also interested to see the Bears Packers game because it's kind of gonna give either one of those teams a leg up in winning the division. And I think the Packers have a much easier schedule after that than the Bears do. So I think that they can if they can go to Soldier Field and get a win, then the Packers can kind of seal that NFC North, and the Bears and the Lions have to play each other, so they'll kind of cancel each other out. Beyond that, though, I think the Rams are looking like they're going to be in that NFC Championship game, and I think the Seahawks, I feel less sure about saying that, but I think that they've been playing some great football. Um, and I'm interested to see how this game turns out. I think maybe it could be a state win-win. I think either way. Um, but yeah, to move up to 12-3 and just really solidify your spot in the conference, you can't ask for more than that in mid-December.
Yeah, I mean the Seahawks are a very tough outing for any team. It's a top five defense, and they've allowed a total of 25 points over their last three games. So it's hard to score on them. But on the flip side, the offense hasn't really performed as well as it did at the beginning of the season. And Sam Darnold is really going to need to step up here. This is almost the same script as last season with him, where he was very successful with the Vikings early on, and then everything kind of fell apart at the end of the season as teams figured out how to play against them. But Seahawks very solid. They're going to be playing over there at Lumen Field. 12th man is going to be loud. It won't be an easy game for the Rams there as they go visit the Pacific Northwest. So that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it for our show. And we can kind of go on with the spiel right now. I'm gonna go ahead and start this week. I feel like I always let you guys start and I always end it, so I'll let you guys end the show tonight. Um, Usually I talk about the UFC, but I wanted to pivot over to the Penguins here as they are going through a very rough patch, going through their own losing streak at 14-9-9. But a lot of big records could be broken tomorrow. If Crosby scores, his next even strength goal is going to be enough for ninth most in NHL history. So he does have the ability to reach that record, that milestone. And he's also 2 points shy from having the ninth most points on the road in NHL history as well. But the most notable stat that folks have been waiting for, especially during the weekend, during this rough stretch, is his ability to tie Mario Lemieux's franchise record of 1,723 points with a point this weekend. Crosby also has the ability to get to eighth most assists in NHL history with an assist tomorrow night too. So a lot of milestones for a Hall of Fame career, and he's preparing for the Winter Olympics as well. So we'll see if Team Canada can find some success there in this upcoming Winter Olympics. But yeah, let's pass it over to Randy for some international footy.
Yes, sir. For my spiel tonight, I gave a decent breakdown of the English Premier League season, for where we were progressing with the title race, and we're now at 16 games into the season, so we're not at halfway, but we're pretty much about a third of this way of the season in. And we've got Arsenal in the lead, but they're now only up by 2 points, so the gap has closed a little bit. Arsenal had lost their second game of the season, so they're starting to falter, and Manchester City is gaining form right as that happened. Shocking dark horse, Aston Villa with 33 points on the table. They're unbeaten in nine and holding down third place. This team is definitely not as stacked with cash or big name players as any of the other teams in the top six of the table, but they're holding it down. And then Chelsea is in fourth place, 28 points. I think They're a really young team, really good. I think they can honestly probably be fighting for third or second as the season goes on. And then you have Crystal Palace and Manchester United in fifth and sixth, tied on 26 points. And the defending champions, Liverpool, have climbed up from eighth place last week to seventh place with 26 points as well. So really going to be an interesting season from here. The defending champions are 10 points behind the leader right now. So can they make that up? Again, it is a World Cup year, so players are looking to perform in their club seasons and then be able to get selected for their country. And just going through a real quick update on the UEFA Champions League. So there was a few games that happened there. We had Manchester City taking a loss, Real Madrid taking a loss, and the Champions League is just really looking like an interesting format. Um, we now have a table structure, not a group phase, but their Arsenal is also still maintaining a lead, unbeaten in 6 games. And then we have Bayern Munich right behind them, defending champions PSG in third, and Manchester City again creeping into good form in fourth place. Real Madrid slipped down to seventh with that loss. Liverpool is still in ninth place. So even if they don't regain their form in the domestic league of the UK, we could see them push for a UEFA Champions League finish, which would help fix the sour taste of how things have gone in the Premier League. But yeah, soccer season is in full swing. Uh, the famous Boxing Day will be upon us, which is the day after Christmas. It's loaded with soccer games in the UK. It's a tradition, similar to kind of how we have Thanksgiving games for the NFL here. But yeah, that's a soccer update. That's my spiel.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep the basketball. One pretty short. There was something I wanted to talk about. I'll touch on real fast before I got into that. Just we had some bad injuries over the week that kind of hurt certain teams' playoff chances, or maybe their their ability to go to the big dance because of it. Like a Parsons with the Packers, non-contact ACL injury. Patrick Mahomes also pretty much non-contact. I know they'll say his kind of got hooked a little bit, but I think that was like just getting too stuck and hyperextending the right way. But,
Yeah.
which also kind of hurts Chiefs even more. It's like season, but you won't have your franchise quarterback probably at the start of it unless he's a freak of nature and can heal up pretty quickly. So, guys that have been injured, speedy recovery, and hope they come back stronger than ever. And then also too is benching, which I think that's going to have interesting. Could have interesting ramifications for next season and what the Dolphins are going to do. Are they going to go in a different direction? Or are they going to go in a different coach direction? Both direction. They just going to kind of start over. I think Mike McDaniels does deserve to be a coach, and he's shown that he can make the team fight for him. I don't think this team has really ever quit or gave up on him. I think they were kind of fighting each other, and he kind of figured out where this problem kind of lies. And I think maybe Tua does limit them a little. Tua has generational money. He doesn't have to try to do anything more. I don't think he's even a top 10 quarterback either. So it's kind of like, why keep going? He's very much a quarterback that's going to have a system that is catered to him to have the most success. And then if you can't win games where the temperature is under 40 degrees, and if you can't throw the ball more than 60 yards, you got your wide receiver complaining, and you say like, hey, I mean, I can't do everything Josh Allen can do. Don't expect me to throw it like 70 yards. Like, I mean, okay,
Do
but
it.
yeah. But anyway, talking about the NBA. It's an NBA here. We're going to kind of recap the NBA Cup last night. It was a really good game. I don't think any basketball fan could have asked for anything more, for anything better. I was talking to a client earlier today. Does not watch basketball until the playoffs, and I think that's fair. I think with this being an 82 game season, there's a lot of games on. It really does play out very much like a marathon, not a sprint. So you're going to have certain games where it seems like no defense is being played. They're just kind of like, hey, I'm right in front of you. Oh, I'm about to go right. You go left. Cross me up. Like, it just seems like they just want each other to score. I know the talent of these players are much better. I know Guru has so much to always say about the modern NBA. Whereas he's 50, I think it's easy to score 50 in a modern NBA season because teams kind of allow you to. I'm not saying teams don't play defense, but it's just kind of is what it is. But I think the NBA Cup has added a bit of competition and seriousness to the games, just because the players they play much tougher. I think you can see difference between a cup playoff game or cup tournament game versus a regular season game, especially early on. It just seems to be more intense. The defense is there. The refs don't call certain things a certain way. I think it's still not perfect. I feel like there's been bad officiating throughout sports in general, particularly basketball and football. But Brunson, 25 points, Captain Brunson leading this Knicks team to a 124-113 win over the young surging Spurs team that just got Wemby back. I just want to give my condolences to Wemby playing this game, and his grandmother had passed away. He had playing with a heavy heart and its restriction also from coming back from an injury. And, he played inspired. You saw it. And even afterwards, he's like crying on the podium doing post game and things like that. So just give a lot of credit and a shout out to the future GOAT, because he is going to be the future GOAT of the league if he does not get hurt and he continues to improve. But yeah, Captain Brunson here really put the Knicks team on his back. But he did something after the game that I thought, we all should look at, which is giving credit and props to those around you that have helped you along the way, or that do help you see. And with that being said, shout out to OG Anunoby. He's not the only one, but he was a big actor Wednesday night for that NBA Cup. 28 points, seemed to make timely threes. It's just funny because the commentators were constantly talking about how he worked with Dirk Nowitzki over the summer to improve his shot and to just learn different things. And every time he made a shot, I swear, they were always like, "Yo, that's Dirk. I want to shoot with Dirk." Dwayne Wade was literally said, like, Dirk, I might need to take some lessons from you. It was hilarious, but it just goes to show too, he's considered the fourth best player on this Knicks team, and I arguably think he might be the third best player now at this point. I think he's better than Mikal Bridges. They don't run plays for him, and yet OG Anunoby is getting. He's always scoring. He's always in the right position, whether it's a timely block, steal, key three, put back, slash to the basket. It doesn't matter. He just does it all. I would say he was a big factor to them winning. Outside of Brunson, also guys like Collect coming off of the bench and making young player Tyler Collect coming off the bench, young player just making a name for himself and getting big minutes as well. But this Knicks team, they were game away from going to the they were a game away from going to the finals, or series away from going to the finals. Just could not get through Indiana Pacers team that also kind of went through a similar position where the season before they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Knicks here lost in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But the Pacers went to the finals in the following year. So this might be the Knicks' year to go ahead and do that, where they went to the Eastern Conference last year. And this is their road to go ahead and actually make the finals this year and potentially win it. It's going to be tough with teams from the West, especially, a dark horse, in my opinion, which is this young, surging Spurs team with the alien future GOAT that is Victor Wembanyama. And just the depth and versatility of lineups and scoring and things that this Spurs team can do. The future is bright for them, and they could definitely make some noise in the West. They did beat the Thunder team to even get to the final round of the NBA Cup. So shout out to them for even putting on a show. They were up at one point by double digits, and, just the veteran leadership of Jalen Brunson, Mike Brown having been a successful coach, and this team being, hardened by the playoffs in recent years. They were able to find a way to win and collect that check and, help their season going forward a little bit more. So again, this NBA season, as I've been to the end of our show, I know I had a bit of a longer spiel there, but this NBA season has been a very exciting season. A lot of parity going on in the West, even though they're clearly the team to beat. This Eastern Conference is really wide open as well. But I think everyone is looking at the Knicks to be that team to really be the team to beat as the season goes on and we wrap it up. So that's it for my spiel for basketball. If you guys haven't caught the highlights for the NBA Cup, definitely watch it. I think they have an extended 40-minute clip on YouTube, so they're going to show more of the highlights, things like that. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, definitely check out that NBA Cup action, and congratulations to the Knicks for winning the NBA Cup. We'll definitely talk more NBA in detail with the rest of the panelists later in this season of the Spiel. So thanks again to my panelists, Quay, Randy. This is season 6, episode 15 of the Spiel Sports Talk Show. It is December 18, 2025. We'll be watching Thursday Night Football later tonight and catching all of the sports that we love and recap them with everyone next week on the next episode of the Spiel. Signing out from Pittsburgh, Steel City. It's your boy Sal to Muslim. And thanks for listening. And remember, you can catch us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So like and subscribe and share with friends. We'll catch y'all later.
Catch you later, everyone. Good night. Dun, dun.